Okay, this is an example in your study guide for chapter 11, and what we're doing is writing the mole ratios to solve a problem. So in number one, first of all, we have the reaction of sodium peroxide and water produces sodium hydroxide and oxygen gas. The following balanced chemical equation represents the reaction. So we need a balanced chemical reaction. So the first question, how many moles of sodium hydroxide are produced? So we know we want sodium hydroxide, we want moles of sodium hydroxide as our ending unit. And you can see that on the right, they have that actually already written. And we know we have to cancel the moles of Na2O2. Okay, so we put in those moles and the units first, and then all you do is look up at the equation and put the coefficients that belong next to each mole in the equation. So we have 4 moles of NaOH and 2 moles of Na2O2. So the moles of Na2O2 will cancel, and all we have is 1 times 4 divided by 2, which is 2. Okay, so they're simple fraction kind of equations. And once you I always say let's start out by writing the units that we want and that the units that we want to cancel. So now we want moles of oxygen, so that we'll write that on top, and we want to cancel the moles of Na2O2. Okay, so how many moles of oxygen do we get in the equation up there? There's just the 1. There's no number in front, so that means 1. And the Na2O2 has a 2 in front of it. So we have 0.5 times 1 divided by 2. So basically it's saying half of 0.5, which is, oh, and we have to cancel. It would be good to cancel those units. So 0.25. So number 3, we want to know how many moles of sodium peroxide are needed, and that's Na2O2. So we start with the unit that they give us, and they've already done that in these equations. They put the 1 mole of NaOH. So we put our mole of sodium peroxide, which is Na2O2, on top, because that's what the unit that we want to end up with. And the unit that we want to cancel is the moles of NaOH. So we put that on the bottom, and then we cancel those units. We put the 2 for Na2O2, and NaOH has a 4 in front of it, so we put the 4 there. And so we have 0.5. And I forgot to write, it's always important to cancel the units. It's a visual thing to see that what you're ending up with is what they want you to have at the end. So now we want water. It says how many moles of water are required. So we put moles of H2O on top, and we have moles of O2 on the bottom. So there's a 2 in front of the H2O, and there's a 1 in front of the O2. So 2.15 times 2. And you'll notice in number 4, they're saying how many moles of water are required. So in this case, we're almost, sometimes, you think you need to have a given amount on the left side of the equation, and finding the unit on the right side of the equation. And it doesn't matter. When you're doing mole-to-mole ratios, you could go, any direction. It's just using those coefficients to find an unknown. So for the number 4, it would be 4.3. All it is 2.15 times 2. And so hopefully that makes sense to you, and you can ask me questions if you have any.